Well, before we come to the other video, I want to read something from the scripture in the book of Mark, as our devotion is concerned. I want to read from the book of Mark chapter 8, verse 31. And I want to read from, this is the King James Version. According to theologians and historians, the book of Mark is supposed to be the first pattern of the gospel. And it is debated, but many people, theologians, agree that the book of Mark was probably the first written book before Matthew and John and others have come to look and pick from that format and wrote the rest. But it is very interesting that Mark, who was very young at the time of Jesus Christ, there, later on in the course of life, backslided and came back to Jesus Christ and to devote his life for the gospel. And it is believed in history that Mark started the first African Christian New Testament church in Egypt. And he was martyred because he was preaching one day against the Egyptian idols. And they arrested him and they tied him and they hooked him and tied him with a horse. And the horse ran him throughout the whole city of Egypt. And he died there behind the horse when they were riding through the city. And according to the sources after Mark, the church was so highly persecuted. And even it was said that in the history, when around 800, when Muslims came around, they forced the Christians, but the church survived until even the Muslims came around 800. They forced Christians to not like even they deny Jesus Christ per se, but they even ask them to cut a big wooden cross and they have to wear it on their neck. So anytime they walk and meet a Muslim on the street of Alexandria in any part of Egyptian city, the person have to fall with the cross, bow to the Muslims. And this is what happened, but the Christians have never given up. They have never given up in the north part of Africa up to this day. And they remain faithful, and many of them accepted to carry the cross. You have to carry the wooden cross everywhere you go. In your daily life, you are to carry it and walk throughout. But it's amazing that people are so faithful. And some writer early says that they were so devoted that some of them have chronic sores. Anytime they fall with the cross, the wound will pierce all the chest, and your sores grown up, and sometimes that got infection and they die with the wound. So the people survived all this persecution, and they were not ashamed of the gospel. So we also, the same book, Mark, who started, and the people persevere up to this day, and the same thing he left is something for us to read and think about it and work about it with it. And he began to teach them. Now the Son of Man, this is Mark chapter 8:31. He began to teach them, the Son of Man must suffer many things, and he be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spoke and saying openly, and Peter took him and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned about and looked on his disciple, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get behind me, Satan, for thou servest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men. And when he had called the people unto him with his disciple also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel, the same shall save it. For what shall profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? Or what shall profit a man? What shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he cometh in the glory of his Father with his holy angels. Indeed, the book of Mark here gives us a very wonderful encouragement in time of persecution, in time of challenges, in time of trial, in time of difficulty. Mark recorded the sayings of Jesus Christ about his encounter with the devil using one of his disciples to tempt him. And when the devil was speaking through Peter to Jesus Christ, he wanted to discourage Jesus Christ of going to the cross. But what did Jesus say? Jesus then looked at Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan." Indeed, this is a great example for you and me to learn, but to know that in some way, in somehow in our life, there will be time that the devil will use our close friend to speak to us. Those who may eat with us in the same table, those even who will laugh with us, and even sometimes it is not even of their own will, but the devil will come and possess them with a skinny word, with a very, very intelligent talk to make us feel good, or to let us feel more important in our life, to seek our own glory than to seek the glory of God. You see, he was speaking to Jesus Christ very intelligently. Jesus said, "I'm going to die." It is not something good that somebody will go and die. Peter was really very wise. He doesn't want his best friend to die. He doesn't want his Lord and his Master to die. And I think this is a good advice, but it is not the best. Sometimes we may receive good advice from friends. We may receive a good concern about circumstances, difficult circumstances we are passing through. But it may not be the best that God intended. But the wonders of all, what Jesus Christ says, he said, "Get behind me, Satan." He was not targeting Peter. This is amazing. So we will expect that Jesus will say, "Peter, why are you speaking in the place of the devil?" We will expect that Jesus will say, "Peter, you are Satan incarnate." No, but Jesus Christ said, "Get behind me, Satan," because Jesus knew that the voice which is speaking through Peter was not Peter himself. This is amazing. 3 weeks ago, my wife and I was watching some. He called me to come and watch a show of Dr. Phil. And there was a lady who had five different personalities. That they call it a personality, but in Africa, this is demons. This is satanic voices. But the people don't. The woman was there, and Dr. Phil said, "I want to speak to Susie." And the woman will change the voice and say, "Hey, I don't want to do that. I want to," and he said, "I want to speak to Mara." And he said, "Oh, I need this lady." And you see, it is some amazing thing. But we are not sometimes aware that just like Peter, the devil used to speak to Jesus Christ, the devil can use any other person to discourage us on our journey to seek the truth and to walk with Jesus Christ. If Satan spoke to Peter to speak to Jesus Christ, and Peter did eat with Jesus, sleep with Jesus, travel with Jesus, and go everywhere with Jesus, and Satan can come and use Peter to speak to Jesus Christ, how much more we today, living in a terrible and worldly and dangerous world? This says that this is a word to encourage us to persevere in the faith, to stand firm, and know that what happened to Peter can happen to any of our relations, any of our friends, even to us sometimes. Even ourselves. If the devil can use Peter to speak to Jesus, God himself, how much more he used me and you, he can use me, he can use my wife, he can use my friend, he can use my children, he can use any other person close to me to whisper in my hearing. Very loud enough to sound good, but out of God's will. To look very closely godly, but it is not of God. We have to be careful to what whisper in our hearing, in our lives. And it can be whosoever. It can be a pastor. It can be a missionary. It can be an evangelist. It can be no matter. It can be even an angel. But yet it can be of the devil. It can be even biblical. Sound biblical, but out of God's will. Because the devil misquotes the word of God. He knows the word of God. But the amazing conclusion at the end of this passage says that whosoever will save his life shall lose it. That whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man to get the whole world and lose his soul? Amazingly, what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And I like this very one. For whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the same, the Son of Man, shall be also ashamed of him when he comes with the holy angel in the glory of God. It is very, very important for us to know that in Jesus Christ you may be disgraced. You may be put to shame. You may be ridiculed. You may be mocked. You may be insulted. You may be assaulted in all circumstances. Look, if they did it to Jesus Christ, who are you and me? We have to be aware that we are living in the most dangerous world, the latest time, where people are calling good evil and evil good. People are feeling now to think that even sin is more accepted than the life of holiness. So, the devil who used Peter can still use any of us today. We have to pray that God will give us grace, strength, patience, wisdom to discern. And more than that, the Lord will give us the faith to endure and accept to serve Him in time of honor and in time of dishonor. The Bible said it is not popular to follow the way of righteousness. Few people walk around it. But the way of unrighteousness, of sin, broad and many who goes to it. May the Lord help us to accept, to carry the cross, our cross, and follow Jesus Christ. And not to be ashamed of our cross. Not to be ashamed of the name of Jesus Christ. And also to be bold. If we find the truth, to be ready to die for the truth. To be ready to walk with Jesus Christ for better, for worse. May the gracious God help give us strength to continue to carry our cross and follow Jesus Christ and pursue righteousness. The Apostle Paul concluded in the chapter of love in 1 Corinthians 13, the last three important words. He says, now hope, love, and faith. The greatest of all is love. And Paul said, if even you speak the tongues of angels and you don't have love, it profits you nothing. So let us cling to the love of Jesus Christ, unconditional love of Jesus Christ, and not to be ashamed